Welcome to QlikView Tips and Tricks. My name is Josh Good. I'm a Solutions Architect here at QlikTech. Today we're going to look at how we can use QlikView to do data profiling. So I've loaded a bunch of data into this application here, and I can go into the table viewer, and I can look at the data that's in each of those tables. So of course I can right-click, and I can click on Preview, and that'll bring up the preview window, and I can view the data and get a sense of what the data's like. I can also hover over the table and see how many rows, how many fields, and how many keys there are for that particular table. But actually with QlikView, you can take this to a much deeper level. So for example, if I hover on top of a particular key, I can see the information density, which is the number of records that have values, i.e. not null, in the field compared to the total number of records in the table. So in this case, the information density for this key is 100%. And then there's also the subset ratio. And that's the number of distinct values of the field found in the table compared to the number of total distinct values across the entire data model. So what this is telling me here is although I do have a unique key for every single customer ID in this policy, there actually are more customer ID keys than are in the policy table. So those would exist in the customer table. Now, if I'm particularly interested in policies, then I may have an opportunity here to drop some of the customer records or use a left keep or a right keep and remove some of the customer records from my data model because I'm not going to be using them because I'm really interested in my central fact table being policies. If I have a customer-centric view that I'm trying to create here, then I would, of course, want to keep those in because the customer would be the centralized fact table. We can continue data profile. Looking here at the out code, this is actually the key we're using to find the Latin long for our customers. When we look at out code on the customer table, we can see that it has a 78% information density. What that's telling us is that a number of our customers don't have an out code, so we actually aren't linking to the table that has the latitude and longitude for the location of those customers. We can also see that the subset ratio is 86%, and that's meaning that we're keeping latitude and longitude values in the sheet 1 here, this table over on the right, and they're not being used actually to define any of the customers' lat and long, so we could remove those as well and not adversely affect our data model in any way. So that's a little bit on how you can do data profiling using the table viewer in QlikView. You can also do some data profiling directly in the QlikView UI. So I'll just turn on the grid view here so we can see which list boxes we're selecting on. And if I select on this manager list box, I can see down in the bottom right-hand corner over here, we can see that the distinct values are 18 out of 18. So we have 18 out of 18 values available in the data model. And then the total number of values is 64. So that's telling me that there's 64 lines that have manager on it. The reason is that the manager field is actually kept on the sales rep name field. So here you can see I have 63 distinct values for sales rep, but actually there are 64 values of sales rep. What that's telling me is that there is two lines that actually have the same sales rep name. Now there may be two separate sales reps who actually have different sales reps ID, but they just happen to have the same name. So if I right-click here and go into the properties, I can show that by hitting the checkbox for show frequency. And here as I scroll through, I can see here that Edward Smith, there's two Edward Smiths in my data. So I can continue to investigate that further by adding another list box. We'll add a new list box, and we'll look up the sales rep key field and see if there actually are separate sales rep numbers. Here's the key field here. We have a little key next to it, sales rep number, and we'll see if Edward Smith, if there's actually two keys or one key. So I can see here there's two keys for Edward Smith. So there are actually two reps named Edward Smith, but when I select on the sales rep name, I'm actually going to be selecting on those two reps. So I may want to come up with another way to do that, or I may want to identify them slightly differently. One possible solution would be to, under the sales rep name, when I create my data model, would be to also assign the employee ID as well, maybe in parentheses or something like that. So that concludes our quick video for this session. Hopefully you've learned a little bit more about how to use QlikView for data profiling. Please do consult Qlik Community for more information, and don't forget we do have expert services and excellent partners as well who can assist you with your specific deployment. Thank you.